Hello, and welcome to the stream. Hopefully you guys can hear, or if anybody's there. I don't even know if anybody's here. All right, well, give it a shot. $6 Eastern time. And I've been working on scripts. Now I just happen to be working on the DWM script that I've done in the past. But I guess the reason why I chose it is because on the podcast fairly recently, we talked about suckless software. And as you know, I'm a big DWM fan. So I'm simply following up, and I've done these scripts where it does installation, and I've done changed some things around, hopefully for the better. The goal of which is to create a kind of a post-install series of scripts that do certain things. Now, again, the goal as a post-install script is so that I can create my own, I don't want to say distro, but my own Debian installation method in which it does a lot of things, including post-install, automated. All right, thanks. Appreciate you. Zoe. So what I'm going to do is basically show what I've been working on. And to do that, I'm just going to start from scratch. So I know I've done this a million times before, but yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm broadcasting. There we go. Looks like I'm broadcasting. All right, and I'm just going to go through this really quickly. So for those of you concurrent viewers, so I've got 11 people watching. Thanks very much. So I'll wait a little bit of time before I actually talk about the fact that this is the 3rd anniversary of my YouTube channel. So I do want to thank all of you that are currently here. It's been fun for me. I wouldn't have started a channel for any other reason, frankly. There was one reason and one reason only, and it seems like a cool and fun thing for me to try. And so over the last 3 years, though, I think I've really kind of not just enjoyed myself, but I've really enjoyed meeting many of the people that not only have not face-to-face meeting, but basically, exchanging ideas and being on the podcast and having basically friends within the community. And that has been literally the biggest kind of perk of doing a YouTube channel is the friendships and the interactions that I've had with the community. It's been such a blessing, such a blessing. All right, I'm just going to quickly go through this. Let's just go like that, and then let's create a new partition. I don't remember where I was before, so I think I'm just gonna go like this, maybe. Not sure. Yeah, dude. Let's delete that partition and go back down here. Create, and let's just say 1G, and let's make that a EFI system partition and done. And let's create another partition, all the rest of it, and we'll just use ext4. That's fine for now. And let's finish. And nope. and yes, and there we go. Okay, and let's install the base system. So I've got 12.11, which just came out, I think, this weekend. This is Debian 12.11 Bookworm, and I'm looking forward to Trixie coming out. But I will say that Bookworm was, to me, one of the most important versions that Debian has ever put out. Maybe the most important version, because of it, not just of its stability, but because I think we've gotten to the point where, hey, D-dubs, we've gotten to the point where when the stability and the actual functionality is at a place where you can have older software and it's fine. It's totally okay. And the one thing that you could not say before that was, oh, yeah, I can't wait. I need to, for the next version of GNOME or the next version of KDE or what have you to come out so that I can have more, functionality. This is too buggy and something. We've gotten to that point now with Debian Stable that all of that stuff just works. And you don't necessarily have to have like the next version or be waiting on the next version of something to come out in order to have like a very, very good experience. So that's my impression of Debian Bookworm. This is the most, to me, one of the more important releases that we've had. Trixie's just going to be a better version of Bookworm, a more up-to-date version, but Bookworm, to me, very special. Very special. Hello, all. I hope you guys can hear me okay, is because I didn't check my microphone at all, so, and I moved it. All right, let's go all the way down the bottom. Yes, yes, nope. Oh, that's cool. Staying on Debian Bookworm, that's pretty impressive. I know Matt put out a video fairly recently that this is 12.11. Yes, so yeah, D-dubs. Matt put a version kind of like video together like a day or two ago, and yeah, the thing that to me it was fine. I don't really care about having the latest and greatest version of some of the software that I use. Not important to me, just not. I'd rather have stability beyond anything else. And if it works great, don't care that much about some of the new features. I just don't. Yeah, I went ahead and burned this ISO yesterday for 12.11. So I'm just going to go with just the standard utils. I forgot about actually saying anything during the installation. I was just kind of going through it. This is kind of me on autopilot. Because I don't do, and I'm going to have to ask for help at some point in actually setting up virtual machines that I've never done, at least successfully. I've tried a few times, but the virtual machines would actually help me productivity-wise, and yeah, I'm going to have to get some help on that. All right. Non-standard. I'm going to go with not too many. In fact, I'm going to say none, actually. I mean, if you do look at this Zoe when you go back and you watch me, like, and you want to slow down my installation process, it was nothing very special about it. Frankly, it was nothing very special at all about it. I do make sure that I'm not creating login for root. Maybe that's the one thing, and I just put my user, my user account in so that it installs sudo automatically when you do it this way. All right. Hopefully I can reboot and it still hold my screen. My screen capture doesn't work sometimes very well when I reboot in TTY. So this is hopefully going to do that. It looks like so far so good. Okay, cool. So I am going to log in. All right, and let's sudo dpkg reconfigure console -setup. Okay. Oop, did I misspell something? Yes. What did I say? Did I misspell something? Oh, there we go. I guess I did. I didn't notice it. Enter. Let's go with terminus. Let's go all the way down. And that way we have larger fonts. Okay. All right, cool. So first things first. LSBLK. Okay, I've got two disks on here, and I'm using the NVMe as my main disk. So I'm going to install sudo apt install git micro and ZRAM tools. Okay, for those of you that have never seen me do this before, I've done this like literally 24 times. 24 times. Okay, let's go ahead and clear the screen. And because I installed ZRAM tools, I'm going to go and say sudo micro etc default and then ZRAM swap. Okay, and so I'm just going to go over here and uncomment a couple things. Just going to use 50%. It doesn't matter, frankly, for this. I'm just going to say save, and then I'm going to sudo system ctl restart ZRAM swap.service. Okay, and now when I lsblk, you're going to see that my ZRAM is 32. I can't really highlight anything, but you'll see on the screen ZRAM 0, and it will be 32 gigabytes of swap. Okay, that's all I was going to do there. All right, now let's go ahead and git clone HTTPS. Okay, and then github.com/drewgriff and then /dwm-setup. Now this is what I've been working on for the last, I'm going to go with a week. Yeah, probably. So let me go into DWM setup. Okay, and this is where I'm going to change this as soon as I get off. As soon as I get off this stream, I'm going to be using this install.sh.new. This is the one that I'm going to start using. I was going to do that prior, but apparently I forgot I forgot to do that. So I'm just going to simply move the install.sh.new to install.sh. Okay, and now I have to actually chmod plus install.sh. All right, that's clear. And so what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and look at that install script. Okay, Most of this, I'm going to say most, that's not true. A lot of this is the same as it used to be. This install for DWM and then the scripts, I've really broken down and made it more modular. And what I wanted to do also was give the user more more control over what was being installed. I was just saying, here, install all this stuff and it'll work great. And it's true. It will still work very, very well. Okay. But I want you to be able to like kind of pick and choose a little bit more. So, but overall, this is going to be a very well curated DTM experience. Now, this section here is the kind of the modular part. I'm saying I want to get scripts that are not part of this installation script. It's going out and finding the installation script at this butter scripts at my GitHub, and then we'll run them. And the reason why I wanted to do that is so that I can go back and use this multiple times for multiple work window managers, and I don't have to touch, like if I wanted to make a change, I could just go to that portion of the script and make the change and not have to fix a bunch of different scripts. I just want one script about, let's just say, WES term and leave it at that, rather than go and do my DWM script and change it, and then my OpenBox or my BSPWM. And now I have the ability to just kind of like make it a lot more streamlined in terms of where those scripts are located and making one change instead of multiple changes. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Okay. So it's going to get the script and then it will run the script. That's really what this section of the installer is doing. Okay. Here I'm basically just saying I want all of these install packages. These are base Debian install packages, including Build Essential. SSHKD will be one that probably needs to go in a different location, actually, because you don't have to run you don't have to install SSHKD for all the window managers. In fact, I'm using it for DWM and BSPWM, and probably that's it. So I'm going to install them and then run a few services, enable them. I'm going to create screenshots, and then it's checking whether there is a current version of DWM. And if it is, and you want to back it up, it's going to give you the option to back up that existing DWM, and then it will run the version that I've created. Okay, we'll talk more about that version later. This basically adds it to your desktop. This adds the desktop file so that you can pick it from, let's just say, LightDM. Okay, and then it will set up that configuration file. Now, here's where it gets like a little bit more like I was talking about in terms of modular. Okay, it's going to install this FT-PyCom. And it's going out and getting it from my GitHub and then installing it here. Okay. So that if I do make changes to the PyCom, I don't have to rewrite this. Hope that makes sense. Are you guys still there? I'm not seeing anything change in terms of chat. I'm going to install T-Drop. That is something that I haven't done before, but cool. Thanks, PipDad. T-Drop was something that I wanted to incorporate. And the reason why is that we talked a little bit about ST terminal on the podcast. And instead of using Tilix in Quake mode, I wanted to use ST, and I wanted it to be a drop-down terminal. In order to accomplish that, I wanted to use the T-Drop or this drop-down terminal, and you have to install. It's very, very simple. It has a lot more functionality than just that, but T-drop is something that I wanted to incorporate, at least for this installation. Okay. Okay. Then it's going and getting my WesTerm installer and the configuration for WesTerm by just this, this command right here. I have some other scripts that do font installation, nerd font installation. It's doing that. It's running this install themes from the same Butterscripts location. And then it's going to ask you what kind of display manager you want. My recommendation is install LightDM and be done with it. That's my personal preference. I don't need to have some like super sick login manager or anything like that. It just, to me, it's just get it in, just do it. And then this is what has taken more time than anything. Well, not this replaced. This replaced bash RC is nothing. But as far as this install optional packages, this is what took some time because, and I'll show you that very soon. But my goodness, this allows you to install a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's just go ahead and quit that, and then let's run the install. This is going to take some time. Did I hit it? I guess not. So let's just say I want to continue. All right, and we're off. And so it's going to go out to the Debian and install all these Debian packages that kind of like we hand-picked for this build. There's not a lot of bloat to this. I wanted to have a very, very minimal install for this, but not really suffer functionality. It's not going to be like, there's some packages that could probably go by the wayside, but overall, I'm very happy with what we have curated for this particular project. Not a lot of bloat, maybe a little, but not like installing an entire like GNOME stack. Let's put it that way. So I'm looking, I've got 24 people watching the channel right now. And I wanted to, while this is going on and there's not a lot of interaction, I wanted to say thank you very much for all of you who have not just watching this live stream. I've been enjoying live streaming more lately, but I do have a couple things that I want to talk about in a different format or as a video format. And it's going to sound weird, but I want to do another Firefox video. But because I think that I've learned quite a bit about Firefox in the last couple weeks, actually. So anyway, but beyond that, I started my first video on May 20th. On May 20th, 2022. So today is the 3rd anniversary of that first video. And I have really gained a lot of not just information about how to do Linux stuff, but from you guys, I have learned so much in terms of my Linux journey has been benefited basically by the contacts that I've made within the community, by the friendships I've forged within the community. And it is a blessing to be part of this very kind of like friendly and respectful community. And I certainly appreciate all of you that have either watched the videos or watched the live stream, or simply we've chatted face to face on Discord or what have you. I've met some very, very good people over the last 3 years, and it has been truly a blessing. The thing that I think I've learned is that I don't know shit compared to a lot of you, and I'm cool with that. I'm so cool with that. I have learned so much from the people that I've kind of like interacted with. I've got close to what I think it's like almost 9,000 subscribers on the channel, which, I think is awesome. I mean, I can't say anything. When I first started, I guess 3 years ago, I thought to myself, if I get to 500, I'll be like lucky, you know. And I got to 500. I don't know. I have no idea. You could tell me 6 months and I would believe you. You could tell me a year and I'd believe you. I have no idea. But over that period of time, you know, going from, let's say, you know, 100 subscribers to 500 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers to 5,000 subscribers to now where I've got just shy of 9,000 subscribers. There's a lot of people that have started channels a lot, you know, very recently that have a lot more subscribers than me. I don't really care. I don't do this for subscribers. I do this because I think it's cool and I like doing stuff like this. And I think occasionally there are some people that go, "Yeah, I like that. What you did there," and that makes all the difference in the world to me, you know? It makes all the difference in the world when you feel like you've done something to help somebody else. And that's really all all I was thinking about at the time. So thank you for all of you that have watched and subscribed. Thank you very much. I have seen, I'm looking at the chat right now. I have used actually the Live Display Manager. And there was some problems even with the older version that I chose not to use. But honestly, and I think it may have been an NVIDIA issue. I'm not exactly sure. I don't use NVIDIA anymore. But there was something like amiss, and I don't remember what it was. So I just kind of stick with LightDM, and it's really easy to install, and it's part of Debian, and bloom, it just works. By the way, this is part of this is the I'm looking at the screen right now, and it was the installation for 12 nerd fonts, many of which you will need for these packages, and some of them not so much. Oh, thanks, Jake. Appreciate you, buddy. Yeah, 3 years, and it's been a blessing, truly, truly. By the way, anybody that watches this, Jake at Linux, awesome YouTuber. By the way, awesome YouTuber, and very good scripter, guy that understands scripting. One of the things that I remember, Jake, was you doing a special script for BSPWM, and I think it had to do with scratch pads actually. And I remember watching that, thinking, "Yep, that's the way to do it." Okay, here we go. This is the light, or the one portion of the script where it gives you an opportunity to install a so it, first of all, it checked to see if there was a display manager already installed, and since there is not, it's allowing you to pick which one you want simply by going and choosing 1 through 5, or 0 if you don't want there to be a display manager installed at all. As I've said many times, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say 1 and install LightDM just because it's simple. Okay, so once it installs that, it's going to go to, I think it's going to say if I want my bash RC, but I'm not 100% on that. I think that video was like 2 years ago, Jake, if I'm recalling, if I'm remembering correctly, but I don't know. Could be. That's my sense of time is shockingly bad. Time just goes, doesn't it? So it's weird. I will say, okay, so yes, replace my bash RC. And what this does basically is it goes and looks at my dot files, and whatever my current bash RC is, it brings it in and replaces it. So I just say yes. Now is here is the optional setup. So this is my post install script. This is the one I've been working on for the last couple weeks, basically. Okay. If I want printer support or Bluetooth support, I would install it. It's not very interesting. It basically just installs a bunch of Debian packages. I'll just go here, and it says, do you want cups or blues, and so on. And I don't want either one for right now, so I'm just going to go back. Okay. Oh man, that is. I'm looking at the chat, and Rogue Network Engineer, God bless you, and I am so grateful for what you've written in the chat. Thanks very much for your service. Okay, so I'm going to go to my Butterscripts installer. Okay, now the reason I used to have the Genie installer as part of the main installation group. Okay, and I chose to kind of move it outside because not everyone, even though I'm a massive fan of Genie, not everyone is going to be interested in Genie. Okay. So what it's doing, and make sure you're doing it and following, each installer has its own interactive. It is recommended to install one at a time. Okay. So if I say one right here, which I'm going to install Genie, it's going to install Genie and all the packages that I need. Not to mention, it's got a carefully curated group of plugins that I like to use. And then it also will install colored themes. Beyond that, I was thinking about just putting in the conf file over, but I chose not to do it that way. So what it's doing is installing Genie, the base, installing a bunch of the plugins that I use, and then it is installing or bringing into the Genie config a bunch of color schemes rather than just the defaults. Okay, and so it's done all that, and let's go ahead and hit enter, and now it goes back to this application installer. So now let's go into 2 and browsers. Okay, now there are a few packages that get installed here if you're going to install a different browser, then this is all I have right now. I would not recommend doing all browsers. That might tie up what you're doing here for a while. But I'm just going to say I want Firefox the latest, and let's just say Brave. Okay, I'll just skip 1. If I was Matt, I would go 5 in Vivaldi, but I'm not, so I'm just going to go 1 and 3. Okay. And so what it's doing is it's installing, it went out and got the newest version of Firefox and installed it. And now it's getting the version of Brave, the newest version of Brave. Okay, cool. So that's all I was going to do for that. Discord, I'm just going to install that really quickly. It will install Discord on your system. This is the way I do it because I don't necessarily like the Debian packaging that they have for Discord. So this is what I do for my Discord. It just does it really, really fast. I will not install FastFetch. It takes, actually, you know what? I changed it. It's not going to take that much time. Okay, so I'll just do that really quickly. And there. Okay. And then, so that's it for FastFetch. I have 2 things to say about this. Okay. Number 5 and number 6 are well, basically they're kind of like two separate projects, but they're about the same thing. Okay. My custom NeoVim I have in its own GitHub project and repo. And what it is, it installs NeoVim and then it installs my configuration for NeoVim. I am not a developer. Okay. I'm not a developer, and I don't need like Lisp and things like that. So what I have is kind of like a more sparse NeoVim configuration, more geared around Markdown and text editing, and a little bit of programming is included in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 5 here. But before I do that, the vanilla NeoVim that I have in number 6 is basically a way to compile NeoVim from GitHub and then spit out a Debian file which gets installed, okay, the latest build. And so it installs it, and you will have an unconfigured NeoVim. The reason why I did it this way was because if you go to the Debian repos right now with Bookworm, you're going to get a version 0.7.8 maybe, and we're already at 0.11.1. It's so vastly different that the NeoVim that you would install at Debian using their repo is, you can't do it. You just literally cannot use that at all. So that's the reason why I have this script that installs NeoVim vanilla. Okay. However, I'm going to clone my NeoVim and install the 11.1, and that's it. It installed NeoVim 0.11.1, and it moved the configuration over, and that is all. Okay, so that's all. That's it for that part of the installer. And so what I'm going to do is say 7 and return to the main menu. And now let's go into the apt. Thunar is already installed, by the way. So if you choose Thunar, it's going to basically go, yeah, I already did it. So if you want to install any of these other kind of like file managers, you're welcome to do so. I just don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to say 0 to skip it. GIMP is something that I would install. I'm going to install Flameshot, and I think I've already installed QIMGV, but I'm just going to say 2 for Flameshot. Okay. There are other terminals if you want to install them. As part of this project, there are 2 that have already been installed, and one is WesTerm, and the other one is a more patched ST than I've used in the past. I actually spent a little bit of time in doing in patching ST this past week, and I think that I used maybe 5 or 6 patches. I could be wrong. 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there, basically. So I don't need to install another terminal emulator. If you want another text editor, you're welcome to do that. I have Genie and don't need this. So let's go with MPV, and let's install 8 because I need my MKV Toolnix GUI. You're welcome to install whatever you want from this list. Okay. I'll tell you in a minute, Jake. Just let me get through this part. Okay. So I have a list of like utilities, some of which I need for like work. Actually, I use Whois and so on. But here's just a list. It can be anything right here. You know, I'm just going to say 6. Actually, let's go 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Curl's definitely already installed, and let's leave it at that. Okay, let's leave it at that. And It's going to install this. Now, this actually is a mistake, so I'm going to skip this. But you can install this individually, okay? If you installed basically the entire Bluetooth script, then these would have already been installed. So I'm just going to skip that. Now, here's where I just say, I heard somebody say something about additional packages or installing using the Arch way. Okay, here's a cool thing I thought would be interesting was like, install whatever package that you want that I've left off the list. Okay, so let's just say I wanted to install Figlet, okay, or something like that. I'm just going to use Figlet as the example. Okay, so I just go click. And now it's kind of listing out all the packages that I wanted to install. And do I want to? Yes, I do. And so I say yes, and it is now installing all of my kind of like custom packages from that part of the optional install list. Because the installs are smooth like butter. You know what? That's not that far away from the truth. Okay. So D-Dubs is right. So when Donald Williams, by the way, in the chat, thanks very much. D-Dubs is right. I'm thinking about creating what is called a Butterbean, or which is a Debian. That's smooth like butter, like Jake at Linux just said. It's yes, that, and then the fact that most of us know that Btrfs in Debian is a little bit more challenging. So the goal for Butterbean initially is that I'm going to install Btrfs with either Timeshift or something like Timeshift. So that's the goal. I want to set up Btrfs correctly within a Debian install without having to leave and do it in TTY during the installation part. Yeah, challenging to put it mildly. Okay, so let's go. And now all of those packages are done. And I'm done with the this Butter applications installer. To me, this is funny. That's facts. Okay, so I'm just going to say reboot the system. Do I want to? Yes. And that is all, guys. That's what this script does. Okay. It took me a long time to get through that installation because I knew that I was going to be talking throughout. But overall, I think that you can do that pretty quickly. Okay, so we are rebooting, and here we go, and we are met with light DM. So we went from basically the Debian minimal install, and now DWM is available to us. And let's just go ahead and log in, and this is what it looks like, guys. Okay. This is what it looks like. I'm using, I have not, and I will write that down. Penguin eggs, not sure what that is, but I will write that down just so I can go take a look at it. I was thinking of actually doing my own installation using basically a TTY method. So for example, I might as well talk about this while I'm doing this, right? Penguin eggs. So I like, and I know this is going to make me sound like a weirdo within the Debian community, but I actually like the installation for Ubuntu server. So for those of you that have not done a Ubuntu server installation, it uses something called, I think, Subiquity. Basically, it is a TTY type of installation method, and I want it to look similar to that. I want to do something like a Debian installer that looks something like that. So anyway, that's my at least first thought for that project. Anyway, So with with my DWM, let's start where most people start. Okay, and when I hit super enter, it goes and it looks and it's using Wes term as the default terminal. Okay, now actually let me go back one step. Okay, and I'm going to use super H. Super H is my key binding helper. Okay, so I wrote a script that basically looks at the DWM, and I'm also using XXHKD. Okay, and so what this is doing is it's taking and parsing those two files and then allowing you to see what the key bindings are for all of these, for all these key bindings. I guess that's the best way to do it, right? Is super L here? I need to make sure that this is, oh, right there, super shift L. So super shift, so let me go ahead and close this, okay? Super shift L, okay? So I have these layouts, and so like I said, I did two scripts, one for super H, which is basically the helper, and then another one for super shift L for layout. Okay, so what it's doing is it's showing you what the keybinds are and what the layouts are for each for this particular build of DWM. Okay, so if you want to, like right now it's in dwindle, you can see by looking up here that it's in dwindle, which is my preferred default layout. Okay, so that's basically it just shows you what the keybinds are for that. Okay, so Thunar is super F, and you can take a look at this. I'm just gonna say show hidden. Thunar, it's a file manager. Everything's it's a file manager, guys. So it's not that big a deal. So what I want to do, though, let's go back over to a different workspace, and we're going to open up Firefox. Okay. GitHub.com/DrewGriff. All right. And so let's look at this particular Git repo. Sorry, I'm looking at two different things completely now. So this is what we installed from the and by the way, like I said before, this is the install script that I'm going to change it to within the next hour. Okay. Yes, thank you. So if you're installing right this second, don't, or know that the right installer is this install.sh.new, okay? In fact, if you give me a few seconds, I'm going to do that right now just because I feel weird that I didn't. Hold on. Let's make sure that that is executable. Okay. And sorry, guys. I might as well. I don't want it to be like a problem. New installer and commit. Okay. All right. Thank you. Now if I can refresh, should be good. There we go. So now you can you can use the new install.sh if you choose to do so. I was a little worried that someone was going to go look at it real quick. Anyway, this is what it looks like. As you can see, I don't really need to go through the picture, but this is what it's installing. There's a list of things that have been installed. Um, Actually, I need to rework some of this. I did install Nala, um, and that's something that I think is really, really cool for Debian now. You know, when you can just kind of substitute apt for Nala now, it's pretty good. Um, oh, thank you for the happy anniversary. So cycle layouts, and so what I'm going to do right here is click to expand layout and descriptions. And then I'm going to, actually, this is not what I want to do. Click to expand patch documentation, okay? So if you are interested, okay, here's my patch documentation. I have 16 patches installed. This is a list of them, and there is a reason for each of these patches to be installed, and it goes into why. By the way, this focused on top is not part of the Suckless website. It was actually built by Backaby, who does DWM FlexiPatch, and is this script. By the way, many of you who are DWM users are aware of DWM FlexiPatch, and it is really, really stinking good. I choose to do things manually. I think it's a little bit cleaner because you don't have to like have a little bit of extraneous code where it's not needed. Anyway, still a proponent. I'm just putting that out there. Yeah. So yeah, the Rofi. I know Josh within the community has done a bunch of Rofi scripts in the past. I kind of like thought that was a really cool like way to do that. So like if I hit, like I said again, Super H, my key bindings are right there. So by the way, I want to go ahead and let's take a look at these patches and kind of in their the reason why they would be there. So let's go over here. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you real quick. Sorry, I'm kind of getting a little bit scattered. And I do that sometimes when I'm doing these live streams because I don't have everything written down. So if you recall, during the installation, I mentioned about NeoVim and the configuration, and I installed my NeoVim config. So let's go into NeoVim, or actually .config NeoVim, and let's ls. And so let's go into Lua, and cd into Lua, and it's plugins. There we go, plugins, and let's ls. Okay, so this markdown Lua, it's weird. I don't think it has to be executable, but anyway, let's go take a look at this. So these are the actual plugins that I'm using for NeoVim. So when I simply type nvim, it's going to install all of these like plugins, and this is what my NeoVim looks like now. Okay, so Control Q, and so that's actually, sorry, I'm not good with NeoVim all the time, especially when I'm trying to look at two different things. So anyway, NeoVim uses alpha. There are some spacebar leader keys. So if you want, you can just say Super E for files, and you'll get to like, let's go back to Suckless, for example, and DWM. And look at the config file, okay? So here is the config file for DWM. I wanted to take a look at it. There are, I'm using, these fonts. What's important here? Okay, so one of the things that I thought was necessary to do this project was to use cool auto start, which is this particular patch. One of the things that I think is if you want to have something auto start, let's put it this way. Let me back up for a second. There are two auto starts that are patches. One's cool auto start, and I can't remember what the other one is. Basically, cool auto start allows you to put the location of the auto start file wherever you want. So right here, I simply put the auto start in my .config sucklist scripts autostart.sh. That way, everything is contained within the sucklist directory, which is located in .config. Okay, so that was the reason for that. There's a few other things here in terms of rules, some of which are going to be centered. For example, if I say LX appearance as the example, it's going to be floating and centered on the screen. So if I say super space, which is Rofi, and then I say LX appearance, customize, it's going to not be tiled. It's going to be, the rule says to put it floating and in the center of the screen. And this is showing you what my theming is for this particular version of DWM. So it's using the Orcus Gray Dark as well as the Colloid Gray Dracula Dark. And so my choices for colors. Okay. I'm just going to keep going down here. Wes term, as I said before, is going to be the terminal of choice for my default. Oh, thanks very much. And then the rest of it is not that interesting, although you are able to like change the layout using Shift Control and then one through equal. Actually, I think there's 12 layouts here. So like if I wanted to, let's just go ahead and open up another terminal. You can just say, well, actually I need to put in two. So if you've got basically 3 windows that are open on the same screen, okay? If you want to, you can say, oh, I want to use this in, well, let's go back, Super Shift L. You can see which which layout is associated with each one of these things. So I want maybe the centered master, which is Shift Control 4, okay? So I don't think I can do this, can I? Oh, I can. So you can actually select which layout you want by simply selecting. I don't remember actually adding that functionality, but I'm glad that I did. And so you're able to actually do this with either using the Rofi menu, or by simply just saying I'm going to use Shift Control 1 to put it back into dwindle mode. Okay. The one thing also you can do, I set up a keybind for Super Shift Spacebar. Okay. And what that does is it takes whatever you want out of the stack and moves it to the center of the screen and floating. And then you can, if you hold, for example, if you hold down super and then like drag the right mouse button, okay, you can resize. And then if you say super and the left mouse button, you can simply move it around. And if you want to put it back in the stack nice and neatly, you just say Super Shift Space and it moves it back into the space. Okay. So, the one thing that shouldn't happen but does is, let me go back to 2. Moving the stack should be just an essential patch that everyone has. That's a fact. It should just be part of the actual software. You shouldn't have to, but you do have to put this stack in order to move the stack around. So if I say Super Shift and then I use arrow keys for this. So I just say up or down arrow. I can move things around easily. And people will often ask, hey, Drew, it definitely should. People ask, "Hey Drew, what PyCom are you using? Because I really like the animations that you have in either moving, in moving the stack around." And it is the FT Labs PyCom. Okay, so let me just say FT Labs PyCom. Okay, so anyway, this is where you would find this PyCom. Let's go back. Excuse me. Gotta drink a little water. Okay. Let's go back over and take a look at. So preserve on restart preserves window positions when restarting. I also have a status 2D sys trace so that I can include, even though I'm not using really any type of glyph within the status bar, which is SL status, by the way, I am adding color. So that's something that I think is important. By the way, including these, including the vanity gaps as a patch, provides several layouts that may not be there without the vanity gaps patch. So vanity gaps is what is being used to create the spaces between the individual windows, and it also adds several of these layouts. And so that is a very, to me, an essential patch for DWM, to me at least. So yeah, I mean, I've used Hyperland before. It's awesome. This DWM to me is what I'm rocking with right now. I haven't, but I think that Hyperland's an amazing project. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Jake. Yeah, it's really good, by the way. So what else are we looking at? Okay, I've been streaming about an hour, and I don't want to go too much longer. But so if you do have questions, fire them away in the chat, and I will try to hit them up. Attach bottom to me is kind of it's kind of a must as well, because if you are attaching or if you're spawning a new window, I like it to be in the bottom of the stack as opposed to the front of the stack. That's just a personal preference here. Focus adjacent, or is this the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, I want to actually talk a little bit more about. So focus adjacent can be something like, for example, I think I use super shift or super. Can you guys hear me? I guess you can. Okay. Sorry, lost my train of thought. I was looking at the screen and it didn't look right. Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. So anyway, let's talk a little bit more about some of the patches. Always center, attach bottom. I talked about cool auto start, fixed borders. I'm not really sure. At some point, I needed to fix border. There was something, and it actually, this fixed borders one is not something that you're going to find in the list of patches I don't think so, at least. If I'm remembering correctly, this is not in the list of patches at Suckless Tools. It's actually part of another package that you have to find, and I think it was alpha or something like that, okay? Focus, another move stack we talked about, per tag. So if you restart something, basically, or no, sorry, if you're using per tag and you want to change you want to change the stack or sorry, the layout rather. You can like say, oh yeah, I want spiral on this particular one, and this will be one that's spiral. So, and then you can just change, you know, and then you would have to, if you're going back over to a different tag, you're not actually, you know, you don't have to do anything. It's per tag. That made no sense at all. Sorry. I'm kind of getting loopy. Scratch pads. Now I have scratch pads built in. I have scratch pads built in. I use one like Super V, for example. Okay. Super V is basically pulse mixer, and I can, let's say Super V again, and it goes away, or Super V. This is a little big, isn't it? So let's actually change this size and move this to the center. Super V. And you can move things back and forth. So this is ST, by the way, and it's using ST for my scratch pads. Okay. I'm looking at, oh, Jake has a question. How long have you been on Linux, and what brought? I think it's been like 2016, something like that. 2016, I think I started like using Linux full time. I'd had used it in the past, but you know, I just got fed up. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a really good question. I might have been before that even. I mean, there's definitely reasons why to move over, right? And it could have been like during Windows 8. I think Windows 7 was fair, and I think I was definitely Vista. I remember that I hated, and then Windows 7 was fair, but then beyond that, I was like, forget this. This is ridiculous. Anyway, so I think that was kind of like to answer the question. So ST, I wanted to talk about that for a minute. Because what I did was, let's go, I think CD, I think I just did like this, and then so, yeah, CD patches. Okay, oop. LS, there we go. So yeah, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 patches. I didn't realize I had that many for my ST. The reason why I really like WES terms. So this is what you're looking directly in front of you right now is my version of WES term. And we could talk about the configuration file, which is like 150 lines long, really. That's actually, yeah, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, I'm going to. I'm sorry, guys. Let's go and let's look at WES term just real quick. CD into .config, because this is, like I said, this is my 3-year anniversary. I'm just going to like unload ls. Yep. So V and WES term. Okay. So colors I picked for WES term, and then I've got some key bindings. I also created some key bindings for splitting. So if you want to split right, split left, split horizontally, and so on. And then you can navigate the pane easily as well. So let's just go back over here, and let's open up a terminal and say Alt, and then if I hit the backslash key, it splits it horizontally. If I use the Alt Enter, I'm sorry, Alt, yeah, I hit the wrong button, sorry. Go ahead and say Alt Enter, it splits it vertically. And if I use Alt and then I use my arrow keys, it goes to whichever, wherever I want it to go. And if you want to say Alt T, it actually adds a new tab. And there's a lot more, but let's go back over here. Actually, let's move this to 4 and let's close this. So let's so it allows you to move tabs with like Alt 1. If you have more than one tab open, you can just say Alt 1 or Alt 8 if you want to use tabs or something like that. It allows you to increase and decrease font size or reset it. Alt, you can use the copy and paste. Oh, you're welcome. And thank you. Thank you, Jake. Thanks for stopping by. And then there's some performance optimizations with using WES terms that I think are important. Okay, so this is, all of this, by the way, written in Lua. And then mouse bindings and so on. When you get down to the bottom here, I think this is important. I've added this one line here for if you want Wayland support, you would need to change this to true. Okay, that's the only thing that I would say you need to do here. Okay. So ST, I installed a bunch. No, not a bunch actually. This one, there's one that needs to be removed from here because I definitely didn't install 2 alphas. Okay, so it would be just this one would need to be removed. And so that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 patches for ST. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to have ST running so that I didn't use Tilix in Quake mode. Okay. And so this is what it looks like. I'm going to hit Super Shift Enter. Okay. Now this is kind of like my Scratchpad terminal that it's kind of like Tilix in Quake mode. So, but this is ST. And what it does is it goes to the top of the screen and is floating as opposed to WES term, which gets put into the stack. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I wanted basically 2 terminals that did something a little different. Okay. And ST, by the way, very, very lightweight. So if I say LS, for example, and I'm using, let me go ahead and close this. And I'm using just my ST terminal in this mode, I can say Super Shift Enter again, and it kind of like removes it from the screen. But then if I toggle it back on by using the same keybinds, it's going to be left off in the same state that it was. So that's the reason why I switched to ST for this particular mode. I like having it this way. I don't know if other people would think this functionality is useful or not, but overall, I would say that I use this more than I used to. Let's put it that way. So if I just hit Super Q, close that over 9. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and close these. The only thing I didn't really show you was like resizing windows. It's not that big a deal. Resizing windows is just, something like I use Control and then arrow key and then resize. Or if I want to, I can switch the 2. Okay, so that's like most window managers. That's, yeah, like most window managers, right? So let's go ahead back over here. Okay. I'm not going to get into what I was going to, which was kind of had to do with Firefox, because like I said before, I think I will leave that for a different form and not a streaming form. My goal was to really look at this install. Okay. So let me just finish that part up. Okay. So the install.sh and okay. So again, we talked about this at the beginning of this stream. This is it. But what it's doing in certain parts is like right here. Install the FTLabs PyCon, and it's looking for my Butter scripts, which is located at S. Oop, shoot. I'm an excellent typist. GitHub, true, and there we go. And there we go. Okay. So within the Butterscripts project, I have things like browser. Okay. And it installs the browsers, and it just says, "Oh, you want the latest Firefox?" And I think I installed Brave. I want to make sure that Brave. Yep, it's right there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it was installed. Okay, so I have like a list of browsers. Post install, if you want to, you can just kind of go, "Oh yeah, I want to do that. I want to install one of these 7 or 8 browsers," you know, and you can do that. Okay. Same thing over here. Let me go down. Config, install Genie. So it's installing Genie with these plugins, add-ons, and Git change bar, and etc. And then goes and gets the color schemes from actually my repo, because I've contributed a couple color schemes to the Genie themes project, and then it puts them in the right spot. Okay, so like if I'm over here and I open up Genie and I say, "Oh yeah, I want to change the color scheme." One of the ones that I contributed is the GitHub Dark here. This is one that I contributed, and then actually let me just go open up. Like if I wanted to. Okay. So basically, if I say, let me go ahead and make this bigger. Okay. So there you go. This is what the color scheme that I chose looks like. This is one I created, and then Octagon I created. Don't like that as much as I used to. And then Under the Sea I created. It's a little on the green side, and I think that's it. I think that's the only 2 I installed. Sorry, I contributed 2, and then I wanted one more. Yeah, I contributed 2, and then I tried to get this third one, which is the GitHub Dark theme, in, and that's the one that hasn't gotten through the channels yet. So anyway. What was I talking about? So yeah. So yeah, I have my Butterscripts, and so what that does is it installs Genie the way I kind of like it. Discord basically installs Discord, and does that using the binaries instead of using like a Debian installation. And it's actually, to me, a lot cleaner. I don't know if D-Dubs is here, but he uses this one quite a bit, I think. I don't know if that's still true. FastFetch installs FastFetch, and then gives you, did I install FastFetch? I don't think I did. Oh, I did. Okay. All right. Okay, so basically this is what my FastFetch looks like, and it installs this like config.json so that it looks like this. And then there's a couple other ones, including the server and minimal. So there you go. It installs a couple configs for FastFetch. And then NeoVim. So this is the big one. Like I said before, it installs my particular configuration of NeoVim, and like I kind of described that before. It uses some plugins that don't have anything really to do with. It really doesn't have anything to do with like programming. It does have so I think at least a nice look to it. and it allows me to look at Markdown in a very in a good way, actually. So actually, I don't know if, let me see if V, and let's go into, let me show you what it looks like in terms of like a markdown file. There should be a README in here, isn't there? There's no README in here? Huh. Oop. Let's go into the DW. Oh, here. This is going to be a good one. Yep. So this README. Oh, look at that. So this is what the Markdown looks like in my version of NeoVim. That is a nice alpha page, D-dubs. So nice. And what makes it is the keybinds as part of it. It's so sweet. Anyway, so this is what my NeoVim Markdown looks like. And then the really cool thing is, like, oh, if you're making changes, you say spacebar MD. And what it does is it actually will put it, it will serve up this Markdown to your default browser. So that's really cool. So you have localhost and then this page. And if you do make a change, like if I was to make a change, let's go toward, and by the way, when you scroll, it scrolls the browser too. So if I was to say, I don't know, let me just misspell something real quick. You'll see that this is misspelled as well. It's a live view, basically. Okay. Oop. There we go. Okay. So that's what the NeoVim does, and that's what it's for. Okay. So setup. So I'm actually, there's only a couple things. These 0 through 7 here are not things that I'm actually using yet. I was trying to figure out a way to do a distro install, and that's what these are going to be for. I don't know that I will use these in the future, but the only ones that I'm really, like, you can see the two that I've spent more time on is this install PyCom, which was 2 days ago, and this one optional tools, which I showed you a little while ago. This was yesterday. So so when I go down to system, add bash RC, I should have used that actually. I forgot about that. So install Bluetooth, install LightDM, and install printer support are all kind of self-explanatory. Okay. And then there was theming, which is going to install nerd fonts and install the theme that you're seeing in front of you. Basically this kind of blue GitHub blue theme that I really am liking these days. And then the nerd fonts. So the nerd fonts basically are using this list of nerd fonts. It's going out and then installing them. So, and it's using what I would think is actually the newest, if not the newest, it's one of the newer versions of the nerd fonts. And that's what that does. And WesTerm. So this is it. You know, WesTerm Lua we talked about already. And this does an installation of WesTerm, which is basically what it's doing is it's getting the latest stable build. Now, WesTerm, for those of you that are interested in WesTerm, there is a nightly build that I have not tried, so I can't really speak to it. But the WesTerm that I'm using is about 15 months old, but it is the stable one and works flawlessly. Really does. Okay. So in order for me to get ready for the podcast later this evening. So for those of you that don't know, I am a regular member on the LinuxCast podcast, which does a live podcast on Tuesdays, 8:15 Eastern Time, and that is coming up within the hour. And so for me to get ready for that, I am going to say adieu and appreciate all of you that have stopped by and joined me for this, the anniversary of my 3rd year as a YouTube content creator. I feel weird about even saying that, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm just gonna own it, bro. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I didn't start my YouTube channel till I was well into my 50s, and here I am pushing 60, and this is the 3rd year on YouTube. Cool. So for all of you, though, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your patronage. And for those of you that have wished me such, wish me such kind comments and stuff, that not just this stream, but for those of you that have commented on any of the videos that I've done in the past, I've received well over like 95, 6, 7% in positive reviews, basically. And I super appreciate that. I only put out content when I feel like it. I'm definitely not on a schedule. I am probably the worst when it comes to the algorithm. But I don't really care. So I'm cool with that. It is nearing 7:30. For those of you, again, that are interested, in about 45 minutes, we're going to be doing the podcast for the LinuxCast. Also, for those of you that are still here, Matt, who is the LinuxCast, has a Linux users group that will be Thursday night live on YouTube at around the same time. I have no idea what the topic is for Thursday, and that would be Thursday, May 22nd at 8:15 Eastern Time at night, 8:15 p.m. And so for those of you that are interested in that, put it on your calendar, join Matt's Discord, what have you, or his Mastodon. He always posts on Mastodon too. I have Mastodon. I don't know how to do stuff. I really don't. I suck at all the social media stuff. I stink. So for those of you, again, thank you for watching, and farewell.